Arcanus is old, but not so ancient that its origins aren't remembered in legend and whispered rumor. For over 1,500 years ago, the first men, the Dawn Triders, arrived from over the ocean. Sailing across the glass sea, they landed on the west coast and made it their home. They studied strange beasts, learned of magic, and eventually they grew bold. They expanded eastward to the inland continent and there encountered a great evil. The Dawn Treaders were afraid, and though most fled westward or disappeared into the frozen north, some stood bravely against the terror on the Ivory Coast, and they perished in that battle, forming what is now known as the Desert of Bones. But all hope was not lost. As suddenly as it appeared, the Terror and its forces mysteriously fled the field of battle, and for the next 500 years the dominion of men spread. Men mingled with the native creatures and the races of Arcanus. They learned of the industrious dwarves, of the graceful elves. They divided the land into kingdoms, and varied and vibrant cultures flourished. Conflict was rare, and open war unheard of. But all that is good cannot last, and soon an evil crept into the hearts of some users of magic. The lifespan of these particular men and women shortened. After long years, a powerful and mysterious mage rose from the shadows, promising a solution to what was known as the Conundrum Magicum. Overestimating their power, this new sect of sorcerers, full of hubris, delved too deeply. Searching for the secret of the world, they created what is known as the Devil's Eye. Demons, beasts, and monsters were unleashed upon Arcanus, and the Age of Legends reached its zenith. It was a time of heroes, and villains, and myth, and it lasted nearly 600 years. But dark times full of evil do not last. And so it was that from across the glass sea came a mythic and powerful being known as the Daughter of the Sun. The daughter, who some named Sophia, rallied the good beings of Arcanus and met the forces of evil in battle many times. Eventually, she defeated them utterly. Around the year 420 BU, she took respite in Southlandia, and Arcanus enjoyed a time of peace. There was no need of heroes or great deeds, and so the daughter Sophia retired to dwell in Etelas for 100 years until again the hearts of men grew restless. Around 320 BU, a group of mages discovered rituals that would solve the Conundrum Magicum and prolong those of normal men. Turning away from the daughter, this sect sequestered themselves in the north. Nearly 10 years after, a great and terrible fleet arrived on foul winds from the east. Thus began the great battle and the end of the mythic era. Rending the earth, the daughter Sophia met the Black Fleet's commander on the plains of Arcanus' interior. There they clashed, and the din of battle could be heard throughout the land. The daughter fought valiantly, grievously wounding the Black captain, but she was eventually thrown down and killed near Lake Sophia, and what is now known as the Daughter's Lament. The commander of the East was forced to fall back to the coast. It was there, on what is now known as the Blasted Shores, that the kingdoms of men showed their true potential. with the elves, dwarfs, and all kind beasts of Arcanus as their allies, the Black Fleet was beaten back into the sea and fled, never to be heard from again. And thus, near 300 BU, began the Golden Age of man. Decades passed, and soon heroic deeds were forgotten. Most men separated from the dwarves and elves, and created the great kingdom of Dinar. Stretching from Southlandia to the Gulf of Wales, Dinar was a marvel of civics, engineering, and the arts. Anxious to rebuild, the mages of northern Dinar created a humanoid race known as the Scaveri. A peaceful but servile race, the Scaveri were charged with the arduous task of reconstruction after the Great War. At first, they gladly performed their duties, but some humans and elves did not approve. Persuaded by the silver tongue of one particular elf, the Scaveri grew apart from their masters, and around the year 111 BU, they revolted. The first rebellion was quashed, but not without the rivers of mid-Arcanus running red with Scaveri blood. The brutality was so striking that next year it triggered the Scaveri War. The Scaveri War lasted nearly 10 years until around 100 BU. Heroes of the elder days. Indeed, in this war there were no winners. In the north, the Mysterium emerged, bent on dominating the Scaveri and others to their will with magic. In the south, infighting erupted, and the southern kingdom of Dinar was split into east and west by the Punic Mountains and ruled by quarreling kings. But perhaps the biggest losers were the Scaveri themselves. Their minds and bodies were further degraded, and they were twisted to the ends of killing and making war. Many fled to the mountains and dark places of Arcanus and became savage and monstrous, while others were held in eternal thraldom by the Mysterium. Enter the gray years of an uneasy peace. There are tales to tell of Julian's war and how the kingdoms of East and West Dinar came to be reunited, and the Conventus formed under the Chartus Maximus. But those are tales for another time.